could quite possibly be the most underrated breakfast, and that is Greek yogurt with literally protein powder mixed in with it. I think it's... It is a bomb. It's actually probably my go-to breakfast nearly every day when I do eat breakfast. If you get the right protein powder, to put in it, it makes it literally. So, with Christmas coming, I thought I'm going to go in a little bit more sort of detail and a little bit more science behind sort of what the majority of us are going to be doing over the festive, and that is ad-lib eating. But it's not quite ad-lib, because ad-lib literally means you eat everything and anything in sight, and don't get me wrong, I am definitely 100% going to be doing that over Christmas. Let's just explain what I mean by ad-lib and what is not so quite ad-lib with this approach. So, sort of ad-lib eating, which is something that a lot of us are going to be doing over the next few weeks really, is eating and gorging everything in sight. But this is not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about a different approach where there's no tracking involved and you're focusing more on the physical side that comes with sort of ad-lib eating rather than the emotional and environmental. So by physical, I'm going to use myself as the example. Over the next 3 to 4 months, I'm going to be looking to put on around a kilogram every 2 months. So that's 2.2 pounds every 2 months really. The reason for this is because I don't necessarily want to put on too much body fat, because I'm thinking potentially sometime next year I may compete if I'm to put on too much weight too soon, adding an unnecessary amount of body fat, which will make the cut when it comes to it a lot harder next year. So what I'm going to be doing over these next 3 to 4 weeks, and if it goes well and if I start enjoying it and if I think that I can continuously do it for a good few months, is I'm going to be eating, like I said, for physical performance in the gym and judging on how I feel rather than being a slave to MyFitnessPal. Now, like I mentioned in previous vlogs, the reason why I am, or the reason as to why I do track religiously, at least 5 times a week, is partly down to the reason I don't eat enough. And if I don't eat enough, it means that I'm not getting enough calories in to aid my performance in the gym. And I'm back to playing football now as well, 5-a-side every Tuesday and potentially Sunday. So it's important that I'm getting enough calories in, because I'm going to be expending even more now that I'm increasing my activity levels. So with business getting a bit busier as well, I'm sort of going to try and move away from tracking throughout the week. At weekends I don't track, I eat sort of ad-lib but not quite ad-lib. So what I mean by not quite ad-lib is you don't necessarily eat everything in sight, and you only eat when certain triggers arise. So as the kettle's boiling, I thought I'd just talk about the whole... So a question, or something that's probably, or you thinking, or something that you're thinking about is, how do I ensure that I sort of get enough protein in if I'm not tracking my calories and eating at, or using this sort of ad-lib but not ad-lib method? Now, it's a very, very good question and a good thing to think about, because obviously if you haven't tracked before, then there's a very low probability that you are going to be able to eyeball a chicken breast and think, yeah, there's around 30 to 40 grams of protein in that. Think of it like this. The usual, say, guy, we'll use men as the example, will have around 4 meals a day, 3 to 4 meals a day. So if you're having 4 meals and you're having around 40 grams of protein in a certain meal, then you know that you're getting around 160 grams of protein come the end of the day. So if we're talking the 70 and 80 kilogram men, if they're going to be having around 40 grams of protein with each meal, then they are going to be having, you know, 2 grams, or the 70 kilogram guys are going to be having a little bit more than 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And that is okay. That's quite a lot of protein, and it's probably enough to maximize protein synthesis come the end of the day. It's probably enough to hold on to and preserve muscle mass whilst being in a deficit. But in order to sort of know that you are having 40 grams, it is difficult. But if you know, for example, Ryan's proteins here. So for breakfast, let's say I have this for breakfast. 31 gram serving, so that's 2 scoops, has 24 grams of protein. So if I have 2 of those in the morning for breakfast, as soon as I wake up, 1, 2, 48 grams, and I haven't tracked anything. That's it. I've looked at it, I know 48 grams of protein, done. That's me with 48 grams of protein in my system without even tracking anything. Yet, you know, that is only 1 meal of the day. So how would you go about in composing the other 3 meals? So there's 500 calories, 500 grams, fucking hell, where is that? 500 grams. And in 100 grams, there is 21.3 grams of protein. So if I was to have 250, I would probably be having around 50 grams of protein. Or just under 50 grams of protein. So half of that, I'd know, I could track it in and have whatever I wanted with it. Potatoes and all that jazz. So that would be 90 grams for the day then. And that's another way you can go about it, just by looking at food labels, looking at them, and then going about it that way. So that's sort of the way that I'm going to be going about it, and that is the sort of ad-lib but not quite ad-lib eating. So it's ad-lib and focusing on protein, really. That's what I should call it. May trademark that, actually. But yeah, it's good. It's a different way to go about it. But over the festive and for the next few months, hopefully, I probably will be not tracking. A big advantage of this sort of ad-lib but focusing on protein way of doing it and no tracking is the fact that, you know, it's going to give you a mental, physical break from everything. So it's going to be great for some of you guys maybe who are maybe quite neurotic with your eating. Potentially if you've sort of had disordered eating in the past, it's a sort of could be a good way to come back into it by doing that, because you're still keeping on top of probably the most important micronutrient, but you do have that freedom as well, because you're not sort of looking at your calories or carbs or fats. So in that sense it's good. The disadvantage of it is probably it can give you too much freedom. So if you're sort of trying to lose body fat and the main goal there being in a surplus, in a deficit, then maybe it's not great for you, because you're not going to have certain numbers to hit, and it may potentially hinder you from reaching your goals. And if you are the sort of person who maybe doesn't respond very well to a flexible approach, so you may potentially not have very good self-discipline, and you can't just have 1 biscuit and you have about 17, then it may not quite be for you. But again, there's no harm in you trying it and slowly moving your way over towards that side, because like I tell all of my clients, the long-term goal is to move away from tracking. We don't want to be a slave to the app. It's really important, in my opinion, for someone to track for a good few months, so you can, and not just track, but take care and attention as to how many calories, protein, carbs, fats are in certain foods, because it's about educating and being educated, because that's the main reason as to why so many people sort of rebound weight or sort of fail in their journey, is because the education isn't there. And that's what you know, the downside of following a plan can have, is because you're just following something but you're not knowing the how and the why. And if you know the how and the why, it makes things a lot easier. And just take things as it comes. Don't push away cravings. Don't push them away, just embrace it, because if you try and control something that's sort of out of your hands, then it's sort of a losing battle. You just have to accept these feelings and take it on board. And this is another great way as to how this method can help you massively. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's a good way of going about it. Let me know if you try it, and just let me know what you think of the video, and let me know if you're going to be trying it over the Christmas or any other time.